Hello and welcome back to the ADHD Girls podcast with me, Claire.
And me, Laura.
So today we're going to start off talking about how specifically ADHD has shown up for you this week. And for me, I had a hairdresser's appointment the other day and it was really nice. It was at home. So it's much nicer because I haven't got to deal with all the noise that you get in a hairdressing salon. So it was at home, but it's quite a lot of sensory issues, even though it was at home, because, you have to go through all the hair washing and, you're talking to somebody and it can feel quite a lot of pressure because you've got to keep up the conversation, even though you're just at home. So, yeah, I just realised that I find going to the hairdressing salon really difficult. It's draining because not only is there a lot of sensory inputs, a lot of noise, there's a lot of distraction. You've got to be sort of behaving in a certain way for all that time, especially having your hair coloured. Ladies will know this. It takes a long time for the appointment, doesn't it?
And it feels like, the hairdresser's lovely, but you feel like you're entertaining each other, I feel. And it's that keeping with, I have to say something funny, or I have to say something nice, I have to put the mask on.
Yeah, and it's a lot of focus on yourself. And, I don't normally sit and stare at the mirror for 3 hours, but it's quite a lot when you go.
I personally can't think of anything worse.
I know.
Yeah, especially the lighting as well, I find.
Yeah.
It's very harsh lighting.
Then you'll have the music playing, and then you'll have someone's having a hair blow dry, someone else is having it washed. Yeah, so that's me this week. What about you, Laura?
So I've been kind of scrolling, looking at ways of managing myself and trying to find coping strategies. So I was going along and I found this thing called the penguin theory, which I'm going to talk about today. I've never heard of it. And again, I don't know if this is a widely known theory or just one person thought of it, was like, oh, that sounds weird, I'm going to call it that. And the penguin theory is how you self-talk. And the idea behind it, of how I understand it, is how you would deal with a penguin, or how you talk to a penguin. I know you don't talk to them, but it's, I suppose, something small and cute and sweet. And you think you wouldn't be horrible to it. You wouldn't talk horribly. Oh my God, why are you waddling? Why do you look like that, you idiot?
Penguins are cute.
They are sweet little creatures.
Yeah.
And it's like that idea of that's how you should talk to yourself, because I find my negative or my self-talk can be quite harsh, very critical, and I would never dream of talking to another person like that, let alone a penguin. So that's what
So is it kind of like, what would you say to a penguin? Is that what
how you treat a penguin, or how you kind of think, oh, here's a fish, and oh, you look quite sweet, and oh, you're little, you're waddling and quite sweet. And I suppose it's using that talk to yourself instead of the harshness, and just kind of that polite of like, well, it's just an innocent little creature. And how you treat it.
It's saying be more penguin.
Be more penguin. Treat yourself like a little baby penguin. And just be mindful of what you're saying and how it's coming across you. Because I find when, you're in your own head, you can speak quite, I don't know, I am just very critical, very harsh, and very, oh God, I would never dream of speaking to anyone like that.
Sometimes
and again, it goes back to why. Why am I doing this to myself?
Sometimes I find it hard to know if I'm being too harsh or not harsh enough on myself. And then if you're in your head a lot, you haven't got anyone to bounce that idea off. It's hard to judge how you're speaking to yourself.
And I think it's going to sound silly, but you're with yourself all the time.
Unfortunately, yeah.
You don't have a break with yourself.
No.
And it's that you've gotten used to it. And I think this is where it's so powerful how habits can form and have impact. And you don't realise it because you've just done it. And so the penguin theory was literally like, being curious, being kind. And again, you're just this innocent little fluffy penguin. And it's the idea of you wouldn't be harsh to a penguin. You wouldn't go, oh my God, you look awful. You look horrible. Look at the state of your whatever today. You would just say, oh, it's a penguin. It's, it's almost like all those things are removed from animals. And I think they maybe picked a penguin because it is quite sweet and cute. And I just like the theory of it. Was actually, I might put it up on our Facebook page, because there's a little worksheet where you can read through it. It's very easy, really quick. And it just kind of maybe makes you look at things in a different way and look at yourself in a different way.
I can relate to this because I spend time with dogs, and I speak to dogs differently to how I speak to myself and to other people. Dogs seem so innocent. And they always mean well.
Yes.
Sometimes their behaviour might not be what you want it to be, but rather than shout at them, it's about guiding them.
That's it. I think it is guiding yourself.
Blaming a dog is just a dog, and it wants to be loyal, it wants to be your friend, and
It wants to play.
I want
And
to
it
be
doesn't
inspired by that.
understand.
Yeah, because a dog's just living in the moment.
Yes.
And, we're often not, we're living in several dimensions.
Yes, all at the same time.
And, you look at any animal could work really, whatever animal you relate to. But yeah, I just think, there's a dog right now near us. He's just trotting along, sniffing the flowers.
Living its best life.
Yeah, and they're kind to each other. They just
innocence as well.
Innocence and a kind of like a truthfulness and an authenticity. So if a dog, reacts to things as it sees, and it just moves on, doesn't tend to sort of like dwell on that. And ultimately, it just wants to keep itself.
It wants to be loved.
And be safe and be loved. And
that's all I think any kind of creature wants is I just want to be loved and know that I matter.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this theory just brings it back to like that way of thinking and looking at an animal, but at yourself.
I suppose the thing about a penguin is it deals with a lot of adversity. If you think of the environment they're in, they're constantly up against the elements, aren't they?
Yes.
So they need to work together and
it's a group session, but it's... Yeah, so we're going to put it up. So we've got the Facebook page called the ADHD Girls Podcast. You can search for us on Facebook. So I think we come under group or something. So it might not come up straight away. Just have a little look on there and I'll post it. So it's completely free. You can download it. And for me, I was just kind of going through it going, this is actually, it for me just made me take a moment to think of things differently. Because I find I can be stuck in the loop in my head quite a lot. And it's just to kind of take a breather and figure out, okay, I need to speak to myself in a different way. And some of it might work, some of it might not. And I think you have to find words that you genuinely can connect to. Because I find previously I'd look at words and I go, that might work for someone else, it doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
And it's trying to find ways to talk to yourself where it genuinely connects with you.
To you.
And you get it resonates deep inside of you that has genuine meaning, it's kind, it's coming from a good place, and I can use it to talk to myself and not have then the spiral, and then I feel I'm talking to myself badly, I'm aware I'm talking to myself badly, and I can't, it's a loop. Again, I'm stuck.
Analogy I've heard is think of your thoughts as like the clouds in the sky. So the sky stays the same, but the thoughts or the clouds will pass through. So you don't have to stay in the cloud will pass. And so I try to sort of observe what I'm thinking. So if I am having that negative self-talk or that sort of damaging self-talk, it's like, I don't have to change that. It's going to happen. It's going to pop up anyway. I can't control what thoughts pop up. However, I don't have to believe them 100%
and engage with
and just let them, they can just move on. And I think, that's really helped me where I've felt really emotional very, very quickly and, felt like I wanted to react, felt like I needed to react. It's like, okay, I observe it and I think, well, that's what's going on. I can look at it quite rationally and go, okay, this is a process going on in your head, but you don't have to engage with that. Yeah, you need to listen to it. You need to act to reset it, but you don't have to engage with the urge to, I don't know, chuck everything off the table and the table over, throw the computer out the window. You don't have to do that.
Sometimes you feel like, and this is why I think it's so important, because sometimes I feel the emotion, I know it's my emotion, but sometimes I feel like the emotion controls me. And it's like, then again, it goes into another spiral of, right, I need to control this emotion. And sometimes I can and sometimes I can't. Let's be honest, we're all human. It's just being aware of, do you know what? So you're going to have big emotions. They are going to affect you. And it's just learning different coping skills. And this is the one I'm going to be focusing on this week, this penguin thing of I'm a little penguin or my mind is a penguin, and how I converse with myself and managing that and trying to figure out what works. It's that kind of turning the volume up, turning it down, trying to say, okay, I'm going to talk to myself. Okay, maybe. And sometimes it sounds absolutely stupid. It might be like, do you know what? I haven't drunk anything for 6 hours. And I'm thinking of all these things in my head of, well, maybe I should think this. No, I just need some water. I just need some hydration.
We do sort of forget the basics.
Yes.
And these are so important because our brains are off on a little journey somewhere. We're thinking about lots of things and we forget, have we eaten? Except, if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yes.
Now, right at the bottom is shelter, food, drink, safety. And I think often we skip that part and move to this like, oh, I'm going to be the CEO of this company that I've just set up in my head and it's going to work. So I'm like, hang on a minute, have you actually had a cup of tea yet today?
Eaten anything? Is there anything going through your
great,
veins
apart from that, but we'll come back to that, but we do actually need to eat.
Yeah, and I find then sometimes it can then, my brain can not exactly change, but it affects it. I can go, yeah, do you know what? I just needed a drink. I just needed that. Or I do need to eat now. And we're just so running in our heads constantly. So this week I'm going to be a penguin. My brain's going to be a penguin, and I'm going to see how I converse. And if it actually, because I find I'll try something about, this is great. And then I'll forget about it. So it's trying to keep that momentum and build it into a habit where I think if it works and it's useful and I can actually talk to myself in a nicer way, then keeping it up, because I find next week I might be like, oh yeah, that penguin thing. Yeah, that worked. But I don't know why I didn't keep doing it. So tell me about your appointment. How did that go? Your hairdresser?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's lovely. It's just very draining. Because I realised it was over the dinner time, so I didn't get to eat till 10 o'clock, which is really, really late for me. Again, thinking about the basics. It's really nice. I mean, I know her well. It's a nice person. We've got lots to chat about. But yeah, it's just like, this is why I don't want to go to hairdressers, because it's enough with just one person. But when it's a room full of all the different machines on and all the noise and the radio, and it's a lot, isn't it?
I'll never forget, I went to one hairdresser's, and it was a new hairdresser's. And I went in, and it seemed nice and clean and tidy, and it was guys, and they were doing my hair. And they were speaking, I can't remember what, they were either Italian or something like that. And they kept talking Italian, and I was just smiling and being polite. There was no one else in there. But I did feel a bit like, are they talking about me? Are they not? Your mind starts kind of like, what are they saying? And then the guy turned to me, and this is where for me, I don't understand people's intentions.
Yeah.
And he was laughing. So I genuinely don't think he meant this in a bad way. But he says, oh, your eyebrows look like sperm.
Oh, God.
And I'm just sitting there in this chair. I've got all this stuff on my hair.
What are you supposed to say to that?
I can't just walk out. But part of me is like, really, did he just say that? And then he's laughing. And then whoever's he's working with is laughing. I remember just sitting in this chair feeling really uncomfortable.
Did you feel embarrassed?
Yes. I felt straight away shame, embarrassment, all these things came up of, that was really rude, and it sounds stupid, but again, I'm trying to think, I don't think he meant it in a rude way.
So I sort of think, how am I supposed to react to this? Because what it's done to you is, made you feel embarrassed. And I think if it was me, I would feel quite angry. I was like, why do you think that's okay to say that? I paid you for a service.
I'm paying customer.
And why do you think it's okay to talk in a language that I don't understand, so I don't know, you're excluding me, but then to laugh at me? I think I'd feel really angry.
I felt so, and again, that anger and embarrassment, everything rises to the top, where I'd be then going, and then I feel stuck because I think I don't know what to do, because they're just laughing. They're not, again, I don't know how it was meant. But then I'm thinking, oh God, I've got another hour and a half of sitting here with these people. And I think at the end, I'm going to have to pay for this. I'm going to pay them to insult my eyebrows.
And it's it's brought you into a situation where you could have conflict, and you haven't sought this conflict. You've just gone to get a service.
I know.
And it's really unprofessional. And basically, you've gone in expecting to just have your hair coloured.
Yeah.
And then you've now got to deal with a potential conflict.
Well, this is it. Some people might have laughed it off. This is where it's so, this is where it gets going back to the whole penguin thing of like how your mind works. Someone else might have just not even had that affect them, or trying to go, oh, okay, whatever, I don't care.
I guess this is why we have professional values, because that's, you should never make somebody, you should never be saying something that could
someone's appearance
make somebody, makes someone feel really uncomfortable. And
you either say a compliment or you don't say anything at all. I find that's
quite universal, really. That's not really, that's pretty poor.
But that was my experience. And to be honest, I think genuinely that was the last time I went, because after that, it sounds absolutely stupid. My brain was just like, oh my God, what if that happens again?
Why would you want to sit there and be insulted?
I know. Well, to me, it was an insult, because I'm like, I don't know how, maybe they just thought, oh, we'll say that it's funny. But I don't know how, personally for me, it wasn't funny. It was quite rude. Someone else might have thought it was funny. And this is where it's so that experience.
Well, it's boundaries, and it's also like, you don't know them. Like, if you knew them, that might be something they might say to a friend, but if you're a stranger, it's just really random thing to say.
That's the first time I've been literally in the chair, I think at this point maybe an hour or something, and and it was just like, so that was my experience.
That's just having the names, so I never go to that.
And so this is where I think it's so important how our brain works, of how we perceive things.
And it's so important how the environment is as well.
Yes. And it
we
can,
feel safe.
Things that affect one person might not affect another, but I think always go with, well, if that feels wrong or rude or whatever, I think your feelings are always valid.
They are, yeah. Exactly.
100%.
You don't need to judge them. Yeah, it's fine. If you felt that, that's perfectly valid.
And I don't know anyone else. So like I said, someone else might have gone, oh, I don't care. I like my eyebrows. Or that's how I want. I want my eyebrows to look like sperm. That's the whole reason I make them look like this. This is the look. But personally, I'm like, well, that's not the look I'm going for. I don't know why.
Yeah, I've had that someone said something at work and made a comment about my parents. So I looked at them, I was just like, did you mean to say that like that? And they looked at me and they're like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, yeah, that's just, it came out of nowhere. There was no need for it. And it was just like, your intentions are
unclear,
but the outcome is that you just really pissed me off.
Yeah.
I've now got to deal with just irritation.
Yeah. And I don't want to talk to you. I want to get out of here and I don't want to continue this conversation. And I think other people might just laugh it off and carry on and then later have a moan and go, oh, you never guess what this person said. Well, I think we're more quick to go put a stop to it almost of like, no, I don't want this to continue because maybe in the past how we've been treated, it's escalated or you're then stuck in this.
Told you should be able to deal with this or you should
take a joke.
Reacting to this. Yes, it's a joke.
It's just funny. You're like, but I'm not laughing.
A joke, it hasn't really landed as a joke, has it?
No. Or you're trying to make a joke out of me and laugh at my expense, which to me isn't a joke. And that's actually not the kind of conversation I really want to have. And I don't think anyone else would be interested in having that kind of conversation.
No.
So this is where for us, it's that mental awareness of, like we said, we can kind of see intention. And I feel we can see intention more than maybe other people.
I know, because I've been in groups of people before, say someone comes into an environment, it's a group situation, they're new, and straight away I talk about, you or me, we might think, this person, I'm getting a vibe, I don't know what it is. I can't put a finger on it yet, but I'm getting a vibe that they're not being truthful or their intentions aren't good. And you keep it to yourself because everyone else around you is like, oh, what an amazing, this person's the best thing ever. Yes. They're so clever, they're so the best everything. It's so over the top and you think, right, you've fallen for what they're telling you, but I'm thinking something's off. Something's not making sense. And I don't know what it is, but I'm going to keep an eye on it. So you wait.
It's like in all the films, you've got that popular girl where no one likes them, but they're still popular.
Yes, it feels like that.
And it's like,
a while later, someone will say, oh my God, this person's this. And you're thinking, well, and I saw that happening for the very first second I met them. And it's a really difficult place to be in because no one else will have noticed it. So there's no point you saying anything.
No, because then you're going to look like, well, that person's being really bitchy about whoever.
Yeah.
You're like, well, I'm not being bitchy. I'm just pointing out what they're like.
It's because we pick up all these pattern recognition. If something feels off, if someone's behaviour doesn't feel cognizant,
authentic as well,
with what they're saying, we're very quick to notice that, and we store it and we think, I've seen that.
I've clocked you.
I've clocked it, and I think it takes typicals a lot longer to maybe notice that. If it'd be more of an extreme event when they would notice it, like something really bad.
Yeah, or something happens to them, maybe because this person might be lovely to them. So they're kind of like, oh, they're great because they're being nice to me.
But they're not able to zoom out and think, yeah, but they're behaving in a really
person to that person. Yes.
That person, or they're doing so. So yeah, I find that it can be quite lonely because you can feel like, I've noticed this, but no one else has, and I can't say anything.
Yes.
There's nothing to say.
No, and
I
then
just observe. And then, so I guess that can be quite hard, feeling that you've noticed a pattern. Something's not
fitting
or lining.
It's like Tetris, you're like, this doesn't line up.
Yeah, I can push it in, or like say you're trying to do like, I don't know, Rubik's Cube or something, like I can force it, but it's really not supposed to go there, is it?
It's still a no. And we've come to the end of our episode today. And this week's No Shame Zone, we are going to talk about what positive thing we're going to focus on that should maybe help our ADHD, same thing. So for me, I'm going to focus on the penguin thing and see other ways I can look at my self-talk and find words or phrases or meaning that really resonates with me. And then I think, okay, I can move forward and listen to some. I'm listening to a few audiobooks as well that are really, really helpful to me. So I might talk about that on the next podcast to get a bit of feedback on that. But just really kind of, I find with summer coming along and like the days being a bit longer, it for me really affects me. And I find, right, it's spring, things are coming to life, there's lots of birds, things are blooming, and I feel that is a metaphor for my mind to bloom and to really kind of focus on, right, summer's coming, lightness is coming, and I'm going to be embracing that and going towards that more, kind of coming out of this dark winter cave of the last. This winter's just felt really long. I feel like a little hedgehog or whatever hibernates a long time, and I'm just emerging now from the undergrowth and kind of go, right, okay, it's going to be positive, or I know it's not going to stay positive. I know I'm going to have off days, but it's having that mental capacity to know, right, I can deal with it, and figuring out different coping strategies and coping ways of managing my ADHD and the negativity. I'm going to have it. It's fine. But it's kind of me having a bit more of a stronger leash on it and going, no, I control you instead of it controlling me as much as it used to. So what about you, Claire?
Well, we spoke about penguins, didn't we? And for me, I'm going to be spending more time with dogs and more time in nature, observing behaviour of creatures in the wild and dogs, and just taking a leaf out of a book of, no, what would a dog do?
Like someone.
Well, dogs do have an uncanny knack of judging people, I find, and they're quite quick to judge people if they spot a wrong 'un, you know about it. So, trust the dog knows what it's doing. I think dogs have ADHD, and I think trust that
instinct.
I'm going to watch the dog, how the dog behaves. They're in the moment. They are acting in their best interest at all time.
Yes.
They're trying to please us, but they're ultimately trying to keep themselves safe and well looked after.
They want to play, don't they?
They want to play, and they just live for what they're doing now, and they're not bothered about yesterday, they're not thinking about tomorrow. And obviously, like you say, I can't do this all the time, but I'm just every so often I'm going to think, right, okay, be more dog. What can I be right now?
Like, I'm going to be more penguin. You're going to be more dog.
Yeah, or I'm just going to
end up in an asylum. We've got someone who thinks they're a penguin.
We've got a lot of people dressing up here as animals. So yeah, that's us.
So that's us for this week.
So we'll see you next time.
And yes, so the download is going to be on the Facebook page, the ADHD Girls Podcast.
Yep.
So if you want to be penguin or just have a look at it, then click on there and it's a free download. So thank you for joining us. See you next time.
Bye.